The disclaimer for the Pick a Topic with Sam and Guest show. The opinions aired on this chat show are not necessarily the views of the presenter. The information on this chat show is not intended or implied to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. All content, including text, graphics, images, and information contained on or available through this chat show are for general information purposes only. This chat show makes no representation and assumes no responsibility for the accuracy of information on or available through this chat show, and such information is subject to change without notice. You are encouraged to confirm any information obtained from or through this chat show with other sources and review all information regarding any medical condition or treatment with your physician. Some brilliant guests tonight.
The reason why we are on lockdown has nothing to do with the fact of building our immune system.
Try something else for a bit, then stop. So they've been using us all as guinea pigs.
What I will do differently now is that I won't feel like I haven't got a voice because I'm not black.
Everybody's going to be dead at the same time.
I have never spoken about black on black because it's a nonsense, because most crimes are committed by non-blacks.
Let that child go to school and come back with anything and see me.
My name's Beverly Skeet, and guess what? I've been making good use of the lockdown time. I've made an album, it's called Liberty, and this is the first single from it, Can't Do Right for Doing Wrong. It's been a long time coming, and I've been looking forward to it, and I hope you are too. It'll be released on the 31st of August. I hope you like it. Take care. Bye. Be safe. Love me somewhere, inside my share. Give me all your love, even when I don't deserve it. Give me from far. Baby,
Well, it's a good evening once again from me on the Pick a Topic with Sam and Guest show. Welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us. So today we have brilliant guests as always tonight, and we have the Electric Docs in the house as well, and I have the lovely co-host HRH Mel in the house tonight, and I think it's only right that I bring her on right now as we speak, because after all, hi HRH, how are you?
I'm well. How are you, my darling?
Oh, I'm doing absolutely fine. You know, HRH, it's a pleasure to have you on the show once again, and especially as a co-host. You know, the topics today, as you know, that it's about insomnia, diabetes, and acid reflux. Have you had any of those?
All of the above, actually.
Really? Wow.
Well, when you get to be a woman of a particular age, these are the things that, you know, happen organically.
Oh, you're a baby.
Just look good on TV, mate. Just look good on TV.
Okay, well, I've suffered, and I guess I still suffer a little bit with acid reflux. It comes under
Mm.
GERD, I guess, as well. But I've managed to kind of have it under control, but not completely. But have you suffered from or are suffering from diabetes too?
Well, I have gestational diabetes, to be accurate. So
Oh.
I actually had it twice. I had it once when I was pregnant with my last child, Sid. And I also, years ago, when I was having issues with brain surgery, they put me on these particular steroids, which kicked you into pre-diabetic stage. And I had to be pricked and monitored every few hours to make sure that my sugar levels were okay because of the medication they had me on. So yeah,
Wow,
I'm familiar with it.
was that because of the pregnancy, or is gestational diabetes
Gestational is
the same?
pregnancy, yes. So gestational is
Okay.
pregnancy, right? So some women, which I never had it with the previous two, but I did have it with Sid. And then separately, when I had the brain tumor removed, and then they had to put me on these funky high powered steroids. The
Mm.
steroids also kicked you into being you could be a diabetic or pre-diabetic. So I had to be monitored as a diabetic during that season as well. So I'm familiar with the
Wow.
pricking and the testing and watching your glucose levels and that sort of thing. Mm.
Okay. Wow. Well, as you know, we've got Dr. Amsu in the house tonight. So I'm going to bring him on, and we're going to speak a little bit about it with him. And then we're going to bring the rest of the guests on one by one, have some words and stuff. And then we'll bring everyone together, and you know how we do. So let's see. Dr. Amsu, let's see if we can get you to start your video. As we wait for Dr. Amsu to get his video working, the other thing that we're going to be discussing is insomnia. And I wouldn't say that I've had, I wouldn't say insomnia as such, because it's, I think to say that you've had insomnia, it would be a long blown thing, like a long drawn out thing, if you like. So I would say I've had bouts of insomnia, I guess, if you like.
Right.
Just 1 second. I just realised that I've not done something, so bear with me. Okay. I am having some technical issues here. Just 1 second. Here we go. So Mel, do you want to just, HRH Mel, sorry, do you want to just quickly ask Dr. Amsu about whether it be the insomnia, diabetes, acid reflux, whichever?
Sure. Hi, Doc. Nice to see you. Hope all is well.
How you doing, RH? Mel, is there a short version of that name?
Just Mel is fine.
All right, Mel. All right.
I'll let you off the hook with the HRH.
HRH, Her Royal Highness, then.
Correct. That is correct and accurate. But yeah. So are you still in Atlanta?
Yes, Atlanta. Yes.
Yes. So as you know, I'm in Connecticut, and so how are you guys in connection? How are you guys, just kind of a sidebar, how are you guys managing with the whole COVID situation right now? I know the numbers are quite high down there compared to where we are in Connecticut.
I'm in Georgia, so there's no effect. We ain't under any kind of lockdown. If when you enter a few stores, they'll ask you to wear masks. When you go into the city of Atlanta, I think it's a little bit more strict in the
Right.
store, but you don't have to walk around in masks. There's no enforcement of the social distancing or anything like that.
Wow.
People are out there.
Okay.
In fact, you know, we have a lot of hookah bars and, you know, lounges and whatnot. People are in there, no masks, everything is party time, really and truly.
It's nuts. It's completely nuts. And that's why the numbers and cases are so high, because people aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing. But anyway, that's just a sidebar. I just was curious about that, how that was going and the numbers and how people are, you know, taking care of themselves. But as far as the diabetic piece, I'm interested as to, because I don't know about in England, but here in the United States, Black folks have a high preponderance of diabetes here in the United States. Is that, you know, and if that's, you know, prevalent in the UK as well? And I'm sure that your patients come to you asking for relief about how to, you know, get relief from diabetes all the time versus, you know, taking all these RX over the, you know, medicines from traditional doctors.
Right. So, yeah. So with Black people, you know, African Americans and other Black people, type 2 diabetes is a problem. Type 1 isn't as bad. That affects more Caucasians than Black people, but you can develop type 2, or you can develop type 1, right? As opposed to being born with it, right? So type 1 diabetes is where you're not producing enough or zero insulin, right? So you're not able to now transport glucose into cells where it's needed, all right? With type 2, it means that you have what we call insulin resistance, where your pancreas is producing insulin, but the insulin is being resisted by factors that stop it from delivering glucose into the cells. So there's two types.
Okay, so with type, I'm sorry, go ahead.
So one is degenerative, like basically it can be genetic. It's genetic, meaning you're born with it, right? And then type 2 is lifestyle. And even though, you know, you may hear GPs or whoever tell you, you know, if you got family members with diabetes, it means that you, on type 2, let's be clear, on type 2 diabetes, if you've got family members with it, means that you have a higher risk of developing it. That's not actually true. It's lifestyle, it's your diet. What causes the root cause behind type 2 diabetes? It's an autoimmune. It is a metabolic outcome, but it's an autoimmune disease, meaning it's white cells, leukocytes, that are causing the issue, where they are stopping, you know, again, the insulin from being able to deliver that glucose into your cells.
Okay. And you know, what I would like to do is I want to speed this up because I want to get everybody on. Okay. And so because of that, I'm going to ask you both questions in one. And I know you're going to take two, you'll have to answer it in two separate ways. But what is acid reflux? And with insomnia, just a little synopsis of what mainly causes insomnia in a way. I know that's kind of a difficult question.
All right, so I can go into more detail, but with insomnia, there are two types. There's primary and there's secondary. Primary is that there's a neurological issue, right? That's stopping you from being able to sleep. The secondary means you have another condition. It might be anxiety, depression, you know, an injury, trauma, whatever, that now you can't sleep because of that primary reason.
Okay.
You know? With acid reflux, that is an issue where I'll go into it, but it's not caused, the root cause of it isn't too much acid in the stomach. It's actually not enough acid being produced in the stomach.
That's what I've done some research about and learnt about. But you know what? It's nice and short and sweet. We can stop there. I'm actually going to bring Lindsay in, and I'm going to put Electric Jocks back to attendees for a moment whilst we bring Lindsay on and some other people. So we see you in a moment, Dr. Amsu. Mel, what did you think about all of that so far?
He's on point, and like I said, he's a doctor. I'm not, but you know, I'm a medical mess. So everything that he said reads factual to me. And so I'm interested to getting his take on how we attack and relieve some of these things, because you know, all three of them can be pretty dangerous and pretty serious long term for your health. So, and especially as people of color, it would be great. And people of color are, you know, usually have these things, big things in our lives. So it would be great if we can kind of get to the bottom of it and sort it out. Now I could use some help.
All right. Do you know what? what I'm going to do is I'm going to mute my mic. Mel, you're going to mute your mic, and we are going to get Lindsay, our dear Lindsay Wesker, who's just come and joined us, to say hello, but also to let us know what's going on YouTube. Take it away, Mr. Lindsay Wesker.
Hey Sam, hey Mel. We have just one question from a young lady called Beverly Brown on YouTube. You know, she wants to know which is it type 1 or type 2 that requires the injections, and I guess we need the doc back on to answer that question. We encourage everybody on YouTube to ask questions. I'm really fortunate, Sam, actually, because all of these things that you're talking about this evening, I'm so pleased to say I suffer from none of them. So I really am blessed. I'm so blessed. But I would really like to talk to the doc about sleep. I know you're going to be talking about insomnia, but I'd really like to talk to the doc about sleep, because I know, you know, sleep is an art form, and you know, getting good sleep is really an art form, and I'd like to get his advice, his tips on how to achieve a good night's sleep.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Lindsay. What I'm going to do is, and we will ask Dr. Amsu that later, and I'm sure it's going to come up within underneath the insomnia umbrella anyway. But let's just quickly say hello to some people on Facebook for a moment. So we are saying hello to Jordan Bailey, and we're saying a hello to Beverly Brown, Info Reclamation, and right there. And then we shall come back to putting Lindsay back into attendees, and we're going to bring on Sharon Pommel Jones and Wayne McLean. Bear with me, please. Hi. How are you? Sorry, let's say that again. How are you?
We are good.
We are very good. We're very good. We've got lots of questions to ask the doc. Like Mel was saying, we're very interested in why a number of these conditions predominantly affect people of colour, but generally why they seem to be increasing in everybody, in humanity, basically. You know, so I'm always interested from a professional perspective, because I think the workplace and home, the kind of correlation between them is getting smaller and smaller. So the more that we can do at home, the better we'll be at work, and the better we can be at work, the better we'll be at home, etc. So, you know, vested interest in understanding a little bit more about it all.
Absolutely. I mean, that's a really good question to pose in the whole anyway, because as I remember it when I was younger, I don't remember hearing about so many illnesses. I'm not saying that nobody had any, but surely, you know, I feel it's so much more now. And there's so much more people that die from things like cancer from a young age. Whereas if I remember right, unless it was because I was looking through a child's eye, it was mainly elder people that died from things like cancer, you know? So yeah, I mean, what's your take on that, Wayne?
Well, I think that there's so much that goes through people's minds as it happens to somebody else. So as growing up, I never had anyone that was very close to me pass away. It was only when I was an adult that I had, you know, aunts, uncles, or people like that. So I really didn't know how to deal with it. So once I was in that sphere of, as I get older, people closer to my age are passing away, I'm now more aware of what they're passing away from. Whereas before it was, well, you know, this person passed away. You know, why I didn't ask questions. And as a child or a young person, nobody told me. They just said that, you know, that this has happened. So as I get older, I realize I need to find out what these ailments that are causing people to die, and how I can avoid or prevent them from affecting me.
Mm. I think lifestyle as well, Sam, just quickly, lifestyle has got a lot to do with it in terms of sleep, in terms of obesity, which ultimately can trigger diabetes, you know, all of these kind of stress related conditions and the way we live our lives, the way we work, etc. You know, again, I'd be really, really interested to learn a bit more about that.
Me too. Mel, HRH Mel.
Yeah, everything that you hear is, it's 90% of it comes back to obesity, where, you know, whether it's, you know, diabetes, whether it's stress, whether it's, you know, bad joints, you know, for the most part, it can be traced back to obesity, which leads back to what you eat and how you exercise.
HRH Mel, is there anything that you'd like to ask?
Not particularly. I'm more about solutions. I want to know how we as a people eat better, sleep better, do better. As you know, if we're well and whole, then the rest of everything takes care of itself. And I believe that we are under really stressful times ordinarily anyway. And so, however, whatever we can do to eliminate or leave some of that, you know, I'm very interested in that.
Okay. All right. Well, we have got joining us at the moment, we've got Jacqueline Bryan. We will see you, Sharon and Wayne, in a little bit. Okay. So let's just quickly see. Jacqueline, what's your take on either of them, whether it be insomnia, diabetes, acid reflux, whichever one?
Well, hi everybody. We have a history of diabetes, and that was one of the ailments that my father had before he passed away. And acid reflux, my mum's constantly complaining about that. Fortunately for me, I don't have at the moment anyway, and I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure that I don't get those kind of things. What I'm really interested in fact, I'm interested in all of it, but I'm really interested in insomnia and sleep deficiency, etc., because the role that I do, I'm always here, there, and everywhere. And it really affects your sleep. I'm always like hours behind or hours ahead. I mean, I'm better when I go hours behind, but when I go hours forward, like if I go to Hong Kong or Shanghai or whatever, I just cannot sleep. And when I come back home, I just cannot sleep. It's really difficult. So to be honest with you, this lockdown has been great for me, because I've actually been able to sleep for more than
Jackie,
you know,
I
3 or 4 hours, you know, if that.
I know the feeling. But for you, I mean, I mean, a lot of people say that I travel a lot, but you really do travel a lot.
Yeah.
So I don't know how you find a respite at all, to be honest.
Well, as I say, I mean, I'm enjoying being at home, to be honest with you. As I say, I'm able to sleep longer, but obviously, when things go back to normal, should we say, I'll be interested in like how I can, you know, what I can do to combat it. So I'll be very interested in whatever the doctors have to say.
Okay, all right, Mel. Well, over to you.
All right. So, Doc, are you still around? Can we pick your brain
over
a bit?
to you. I meant over to you in regards to Jacqueline.
Oh, I'm sorry. You see, I'm previous.
That's okay.
All I care about is what to do, and how to fix it. My bad. Jacqueline, you said that your family, you said, was it mum's side, you said, has, and I'm assuming it was type 1, right?
Type 2, because it was like later in life. My dad got it,
right.
But that was one of the issues that he had. But he actually passed away. He went into cardiac arrest and died 2 years ago. But
I'm sorry.
But yeah, but that was one of the issues that he had. And fortunately, I mean, I always go to the doctor, because obviously it's in the family. I always go to the doctors to make sure that that's not something that's heading my way. And so far it's been all good. Acid reflux, as I said, my mum suffers from that, you know, she's forever on tablets or what have you, you know, so it'd be, I know that the doctors want, you know, the doctor has actually spoken to her about it, and he keeps telling her it's about her diet, etc., etc. So that's just something that I guess that we'll just have to convince her to do. But it's very difficult to get somebody who's almost 80 to change, you know, their way of eating, etc. Even if it means that it's going to be positive for them, you know. But as I said, I mean, I'm really interested in the sleeping aspect for me personally, because I don't have diabetes. I don't seem to suffer with any acid reflux, but sleeping for me is a real issue. I don't sleep for more than a couple of hours a night when I'm working. So I was saying that being home and in lockdown and quarantine, or whatever you want to call it, COVID-19 era, it's been great for me because I can actually sleep. You know, I'm sleeping for more than six hours, and that is a long time for me. Brilliant. So I'm just very, very interested in whatever the doctor has to say.
Okay, so what we're going to do this week is we're going to bring Dr. Amsu and everybody else back to the panel. However, we are going to be heading to the commercial break very shortly. What I'm going to do is I'm going to allow 2 questions right away. One is going to come from YouTube, and the other one is going to come from HRH Mel. We will then go to the commercial break and resume afterwards, okay? So the first question for you, Dr. Amsu, on YouTube is, which one requires you to inject, 1 or 2? And I believe she's talking, this is coming from Beverly Brown, and she's talking about diabetes.
All right, so type 1 is where your pancreas is no longer producing insulin. So that's why you'll need to inject. So it's type 1. Type 1 diabetes requires injections.
Okay, thank you. And HRH Mel, I know you're dying to ask questions, so please.
Well, let me calm down a little bit. So, Dr. Amsu, the insomnia, you mentioned that there are different types of insomnia, right? So with folks who, like me, who don't suffer of it long term, but will have bouts of it, do you have any suggestions as far as what one should do when they get ready for bed to encourage the sleep gods to show up at my doorstep and everybody else's?
Yeah, in fact, there are exercises that can be done. We actually encourage Qigong, 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 and the particular type of Qigong is when you gather yin, because people who suffer from insomnia, it's because they're overly yang. They have too much energy. You know, they express overtly energy, and they don't introvert that energy. So yin, you got yin and yang, as you've all heard of, right? Yin and yang, the black and white with the circle, that old Chinese, right? And yang is outward force. Yin is inward pulling. So we encourage people to do what we call gathering yin, and then do Qigong exercise, and it actually helps the body to wind down and to relax. Whereas you can imagine the opposite forces. One is more adrenal, outwardly, if you've got to make a run for it or whatever. The other one is more calming, right? So gathering yin will calm you down. Now, people who suffer from, and I don't want to keep it, I know you want to go to commercials, Sam, right? So people who suffer acute insomnia, it's more sleeplessness. So it's something that you may have done during the day or whatever, or you may be a little worried about something which is keeping you up. True insomnia is the chronic form, where every night I can't get sleep. Nice, I'm depriving myself of actual sleep, and there's all a cascade of which I'll go into later on, how that cascade affects you. You know, sleep deprivation. What chemically goes on with your body with that? So I hope I answered your question.
You did. We'll get into the nitty-gritty a little bit later.
All right, all right.
Thank you.
Great stuff. Okay, so it's at this point where I'm muting everybody and we are going to go to the commercial break. Thank you very much for everybody's input so far. I do love all the guests on here. They're absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. I feel so blessed. Okay, let's go to the commercial break. Some brilliant guests tonight.
The reason why we are on lockdown has nothing to do with the fact of building our immune system.
Try something else for a bit, then stop. So they've been using us all as guinea pigs.
What I will do differently now is that I won't feel like I haven't got a voice because I'm not Black.
Everybody's going to be dead at the same time.
I have never spoken about Black on Black because it's a nonsense, because most crimes are committed by non-Blacks.
Let that child go to school and come back with anything and see me.
Time to make history. Stand up.
My name's Beverly Skeet, and guess what? I've been making good use of the lockdown time. I've made an album, it's called Liberty, and this is the first single from it, Can't Do Right for Doing Wrong. It's been a long time coming, and I've been looking forward to it, and I hope you are too. It'll be released on the 31st of August. I hope you like it. Take care. Bye. Be safe. Somewhere, get inside my share, give me all your love, even when I don't deserve it, give me from far, baby,
Welcome back after the break. Well, I want to go straight away, first of all, to the chat, the question answers on Zoom, where we are here right now. Jordan Bailey, Dr. Amsu, is saying, I can only get 4 hours maximum a night. I've tried everything. As I got older, it got less. And her other question, I guess, is she's saying, my husband lives on acid reflux tablets as a way of life. What can he do? So, Dr. Amsu, straight away, you've got two questions that hasn't come from the panel. What's your answers to those?
Okay, first of all, repeat the first question again.
Okay, so the first question is, Jordan Bailey is basically saying she's not being able to get much sleep. Yeah.
All right.
She gets about 4 hours.
That is definitely a neurological, endocrinological issue, right? Or endocrinal, should I say? My mind's all over the place. Endocrinal issue, a neurological issue.
Yeah.
That right there is where she has to deal with the root cause of the issue, right? And we actually have two different supplements that we would recommend for that situation. There's where there's a hormonal issue going on, an endocrinal issue going on, right? Which we have female female endocrine, for the female endocrine system, which is called essence, right? In fact, we have two. One is called essence, the other one's called stability, right? And that will help to balance the hormones, the way in which her glands are communicating to regulate or produce homeostasis, right? Which is a balanced state. There's also neuroplex. We have something called neuroplex, which deals with inflammation within the neurological system, right? There are a lot of things that cause inflammation. There are, again, the white blood cells, the leukocytes that cause it, and there may be too much magnesium or a lack of magnesium. Could be a potassium issue or calcium issue, sodium issue going on. But neuroplex basically regulates the neurological system, your brain and central nervous system, because that's what's going on. Also, without knowing her history, there could be, Epstein-Barr virus, there might be, HSV involved, things that viruses that attack your neurons, your nervous system. So again, each person is different. And if somebody's only getting 4 hours sleep per night, that's not enough. The body
it's
needs
definitely not enough, Dr. Amsu. Am I not right to say, sorry to interject, but am I not right to say that if you don't get enough sleep, you die early?
Yeah, in a nutshell, because sleep is where repair is done, is where your daily detox happens. Whether whether you're on an actual detox, like my doctor told me to do this, that your body has a natural system where it detoxifies itself, where each cell goes through detoxification and also nutrient intake. That is called cellular respiration. And cellular respiration takes place at night, right? It's melatonin driven. So when you sleep, when you're in a pitch black state, and I think I touched on this last week, when you're in a pitch black state, that's where you will go into REM sleep or into a deep sleep, rapid eye movement or random eye movement, right? Whichever tickles your fancy. So when you go into that sleep, that's where cells, because each cell, if you will, imagine you have a massive fortress around your cell, right? That fortress is iron or built with bricks, whatever. There's doorways in. During the nighttime, when melatonin kicks in, it slows down your mitochondria, which allows your cells to become permeable. When your cells become permeable, that's where nutrients are allowed in and toxins are taken out through the lymphatic system.
Dr. Amsu, what does permeable, for everyone watching, what does permeable mean?
I do not know. It means that you can get in and out of it.
Okay. Okay. HRH, I believe you've got a question.
No, I'm just saying permeable just means to penetrate, to be able to go through.
Okay.
I can't say penetrate without giggling.
So that's why you chose in or out, right? Okay, fine. No problem. I love it.
Cool.
Okay, well, listen, the next thing is that Jordan's next question was about acid reflux, because her partner is basically taking tablets like as a way of life, where acid reflux is concerned. So what could he do about that? And actually, I suffer from it myself.
All right, so I can tell what somebody's taking by them saying, I've been on it all my life. The reason why, again, all right, so here's the situation with acid reflux or GERD, right? Gastroesophageal reflux disease, right? Gastroesophageal reflux disease or GERD, acid reflux. There's a lack of acid being produced in the stomach. So what that does, you have what is called a lower esophageal sphincter, right? Which is basically like a doorway or gateway. And it's triggered by how much acid you have in your system, whether it opens or closes, right? So when you don't produce enough acid in your stomach, the LES or lower esophageal sphincter doesn't close. So acid from your stomach can splash up into your throat, right? Or gets through that lower esophageal, because your esophagus goes all the way from your throat all the way down into your what's it called? Your intestines, right? Sorry, my brain's all over the place. Into your intestines or into your stomach, right? So if that doorway is not closed, now acid can get into your throat, which is heartburn and all kinds of stuff, right? When you're given antacids, which is one of the treatments for symptoms. Oh, all right, you got acid that keeps on spreading. We're going to keep your acid level down. That's actually contributing to the problem because your stomach's not producing enough acid to close that LES gateway, right?
Dr. Amsu, I was going to say, I don't know about in the States, but over here, they do give you acid suppressants, I think is the best way for me to say.
Right, antacid.
And that doesn't, I certainly don't take them. I've done a little bit of research, and because the doctors here will tell you not to eat things like lemons or oranges because they're acidic. But from what I've read, as far as I know, when you take natural acid from like lemons or oranges, it then goes into your body and alkalizes. So is that correct? Or?
But here's the thing is that if you're not producing, and I hear that, if you're not producing enough acid, why do you want to put alkaline or, alkalinity into your body to quench or quash acidity? So it can give you temporary relief. You get temporary relief, which is cool. Like, man, I got a bit of, what are they, Tums? I take my Tums and now I feel a bit better. But that is a band-aid. That's papering over the cracks, as we like to say in Arsenal, right? You're papering over the cracks and you're not dealing with the root cause. So there's a whole protocol of things you have to do. You have to, all right, first of all, if you do have acid reflux, there can be damage done when that acid starts splashing about the place, where there's inflammation, where there's, your intestinal mucosa is damaged, maybe holes in it, or whatever. So you have to rebuild your intestinal lining, your stomach lining from the damage done by the acid, right? Which the temporary relief just means that, all right, you've settled down the acid, what's going on, but there's too little of it. So because there's too little of it, your LES is not going to close. So you'll always have the issue. So again, when people start telling us about alkaline diet and acid diet and whatever, we have none of it.
Okay.
Your vitamins are acid.
Can I just quickly say, also, am I right to say that smoking and drinking relax the sphinx also, or whatever that, I can't remember what you call it. It is a sphinx, isn't it? Yeah. It relaxes it, so the sphincter, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it also it relaxes it, so that also keeps it open too.
Yes. So smoking is never, Sam, smoking is not a good habit. All right, all you smokers. So there's a reason why we're not supposed to smoke, whether it's tobacco or whatever, because of the physiological effects. We don't even go into the chemical effects.
But then there's also drinking as well, isn't there?
Drinking, alcohol, all right. So alcohol attacks primarily your liver, right? Primarily your liver, because your liver is the organ that tries to get all toxins out of the body, and it puts stress on the liver. So when your liver's not doing its job, and your liver has many jobs, another job of liver is to synthesize all your vitamins. Most vitamins are synthesized in the liver, and enzymes and hormones are synthesized in the liver. So when your liver's cranky or it's overworked, sluggish, it's not doing its job. So something like alcohol that destroys your liver, it destroys the function of your liver. And that's a whole cascade of, you know, a shitload of other issues.
Okay. Do you know what? Let me just quickly open it up now.
right.
Lindsay. And then we're going to have Jackie, and then we're going to have the lovely couple.
Can I just say that? Can I just say to Dr. Ramsu that I absolutely love your publicity photographs. You're like the Casey and JoJo of the medical world.
Casey and JoJo.
I think you know the way you look is just amazing. I think you're going to have a big impact on people's health. No, I was very interested in what the doc was saying about pitch black, and I've got a pitch black story, which I mean I learned a lot about sleep from this pitch black story. There we go. There's Casey and JoJo. Look at that. Don't they look good?
I'm not going to ask which one I am.
Are you going to break into a version of All My Life?
Yeah.
Me and the trouble went to a hotel in Dunstable because that's where our grandson was born.
Right.
And this hotel had blackout curtains, and I'd never had any experience of blackout curtains at all. So we fall asleep. It's pitch black, right? So these are blackout curtains behind the regular curtains. The room is pitch black. So we wake up and it's still pitch black. And we think to ourselves, okay, well, it must be 2 or 3 in the morning. So we go back to sleep. And we wake up again and we look at the clock and it's 11:30, you know.
Oh, and sacrilege.
And it was just, we'd had such good deep sleep, you know. We'd had that REM, as you say. We'd had such good deep sleep. It taught me a lot about pitch black. And I try to achieve pitch black, you know, every night. But of course, the trouble is watching some Netflix series on her iPad. So there's always light flickering in the corner. So I never really get pitch black. But, you know, I definitely appreciate the value of pitch black. And, you know, and it really made a huge difference. And anybody having trouble sleeping, I would advise you to get yourself pitch black conditions.
And Lindsay, you know what a major issue is now, right? A lot of parents are raising their children with iPads or, you know, tablets and phones. And, you know, whether you have a big TV screen, you know, a big F-off TV screen in your bedroom, and you're like, right, we got it sorted. That blue light actually stops melatonin from being produced, right? So whether you have a phone, even if your phone screen isn't on, keep your phone away from you at night. Do not have a tablet on. Do not sleep with the TV on, right? Because that blue light is going to stop your melatonin from doing its job, right? Very key. So people who put their children to sleep with you know, their tablets on and it's playing the nursery rhymes or whatever, that's actually devastating, which will lead to ADHD, will lead to these neurological and psychological issues that are being spoken about, because sleep is where growth occurs, where you repair, regenerate damaged or dead tissue cells. That all happens during your sleep. That's why you notice most children grow during summer holidays, right? That's where the growth spurts happen, because they're not getting up, they're not under that pressure to get up early for school. So they actually get more sleep and they do their growth spurts. As you, I don't know if you know how tall I am, but obviously I didn't sleep when I was young, right? But it's actually key to get that. And it's not just about, you know, some people will sleep with blinkers on. It's not about your eyes. It's about your whole body. Your whole skin is sensitive to radiation. And that blue light has a specific frequency which will not trigger melatonin. So you have a melatonin and a serotonin cycle.
Dr.
Serotonin,
Amsu, sorry, could you repeat what you just said? It's not just about your eyes. Please,
yeah,
would you repeat that?
right. It's not just about your eyes. We actually have what is known as a light sensitive diode on our skin, right? Which helps. Your skin is a fantastic organ. It's full of sensors, right? Full of sensors. So we are photosensitive. So photosensitive, we're sensitive to light, different types of light, whether it's ultraviolet light, white light, infrared light. They all play a very important role in how our body, our biorhythms, right? If you want to call it that, our biorhythms work. So we have a natural clock in our bodies, which is called the circadian rhythm. And that also goes down to when you eat your food and how your body, when is the optimum time for your body to be digesting food within certain hours. And then while you are sleeping, that's where the assimilation, what we call the assimilation cycle takes place. That's where whatever nutrients we've eaten for the day, that's when they go into your cells to regenerate or to, repair and to replenish damaged or, dead tissue. So
wow.
One thing that's thrown off affects everything else.
Okay. So let me just quickly go to Jacqueline here.
Hello.
Hello, Jackie.
Hi, Jacqueline.
You all right?
Good.
Yeah. So, you wanted me to ask him something? As I said, Dr. Amsu, I'm just really, really interested in everything that you're talking about, and in particular, sleep, because as you know, I'm always traveling all over, and the fact that I work during the nights obviously is affecting my sleep. And then when I get home and it's day, even though I've got, I try to have a darkened or pitch black, if to use Lindsay's words, room, it's still difficult to get to catch up on my sleep, because I'm always behind on my sleep. So it's a matter of trying to catch up. But you mentioned something about gathering yin. How do you gather yin?
I could show you, but it would turn at least half of your viewers on if I did it now, Sam. So
it's not that kind of show.
Let's keep it PG then, shall we?
Well, we do have a book called Qigong Exercises for Reproductive Organs, right? We could have done it for more organs, but in that we actually do show how to do the gathering yin exercise. So there's a gathering yin, there's a gathering yang. Because some people are overly yin, some people are overly yang. So overly yin people are your introverts, your timids. Then you got your overly yang, these are more your bullish, more aggressive, more alpha type personalities, right? So
I've got a new name for you then, Dr. Amsu.
Yeah, you know which one I am, right?
Yeah.
You know which one I am.
Oh, absolutely.
I have calmed down. I have calmed it down over the years. So, because I've been doing my practices of gathering yin. So it's finding that balance between the two. So gathering yin, we do a lot of programs where, especially for women with reproductive issues, and a lot of them have difficult time sleeping because of their cortisol levels, their adrenaline. So,
well, what about women who are past the reproductive ages?
Well, I mean, you still have to balance your endocrine system. So your endocrine system is basically how your glands intercommunicate, and how your brain communicates with various glands, particularly your hypothalamus and your pituitary gland. So there's so things like depression and anxiety is down to what is known as the HPA axis. HPA standing for hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis. Now,
Right.
this axis is basically the interworking between those glands, right? The
Okay.
interworking relationship between those glands, the communication that takes place. When there's hyperactivity, right, where it's doing overtime, that means you're producing too much cortisol and adrenaline, right, which causes other neurotransmitters such as dopamine and norepinephrine and oxytocin and, you know, various neurotransmitters which are good for like joy and, you know, good mood, being in a good mood. Because every mood that we have, there's a chemical in or chemicals in our body that correspond or that can regulate or dictate the type of mood we're in, right?
Okay.
Okay, so can I just
to
quickly
get-
answer your question,
yeah,
Jacqueline? 1 second.
yeah. I was gonna
Just
say.
I just want to quickly, very quickly answer your question. As in, between myself and Dr. Amsu, we have been in talks, and it looks like maybe in about 4 weeks or so, we will have a group that people can join, and we'll talk more about that in another show. But Dr. Amsu will be able to show people things like that in that particular group. It will be maybe a spin-off from this. So maybe you might want to subscribe to that, and you know, or whoever else, so that they can learn how to gather yin and other sorts of things and what have you.
Yeah, so you know, as I was gonna say, so we have the book, and in the book there's exercise. And when you buy the book, we do give you a link to where you'll see myself and Dr. Amun doing the exercises, you know. So however you want to use that for your personal pleasure is up to you. We don't know, you know, just a disclaimer, you know, but it will show you how to do the exercises.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, because I was going to say that, you know, lots of information there that probably needs to be digested. But, you know, yeah, the book. All right.
Yes.
Okay. All right. I'm going to go
Okay.
to the lovely Sharon and Wayne. Sharon, Wayne, where are you?
I can see him, but I can't hear them. Still got them on mute.
Okay.
Hi.
Right.
Hi. Right. So I know you both
Hi.
had some questions that you wanted to ask, so fire away.
Yeah.
But sorry,
Yeah.
before you do, I just want to say
by
to
the
those
great
on
conversation.
YouTube, let me just quickly say to those on YouTube, after Sharon and Wayne, we are going to come to the section where it is ask any health question that you would like to Dr. Amsu. So please start writing your questions in YouTube, and we will be answering them just after Sharon and Wayne. So Sharon, sorry to interrupt. Please continue.
That's
Sorry.
okay. That's okay. By nature of the great conversation, a couple of my questions have been answered, but what I wanted to ask Dr. Amsu was depression and anxiety have been mentioned a couple of times in the conversation. And to my understanding, depression is kind of worrying about the past and anxiety is worrying about the future. So what are your thoughts on kind of meditation and mindfulness and that to kind of appease some of the immediate issues, not long-term solutions, obviously that's deeper, but you know, it'd be great to get your thoughts on that. And the other point was that I have suffered from insomnia in the past, normally when there's big kind of things going on in my life. And I had a brilliant doctor who actually recommended eating lettuce before I went to bed. And I was so frustrated when she told me, because I was really, you know, just give me the drugs and help me sleep. But I did try it and it actually worked. And she also recommended warm milk and chamomile tea. So, you know, they've been blessings to me, but I'd like to understand really what is so powerful within those ingredients that actually helps you resolve something which is really, really quite serious.
Okay, so the first part of your question was about meditation and depression, anxiety, mindfulness, and absolutely. So that's why we have Qigong, because Qigong is a physical form of meditation, right? And it's funny because, you know, while you was on the break, Sam, me and my partner here in the studio, he actually said to me, you know, we got to address the whole meditation side of things. So yes, absolutely, meditation and mindfulness is something, especially among the youth, that is omitted totally from their everyday routine. And, you know, habit reforms nature. And if there's no habit there of meditation, where it's like, I do what I do, then I go and lie down or go to sleep, you are actually missing out on a very important aspect of even, you know, introspection, reflection. And, you know, what did I do with my day to day? And, you know, being able to reform habits, like change your daily routine to things that are actually good for you, and, you know, reflect on, well, I know I got angry at Roger earlier on, and maybe I didn't handle it better. So there's different forms of meditation, right, and mindfulness, but absolutely we have to introduce those routines into our daily routines. You know, like my thing, do you have prayer? Some people like to pray, right, about stuff. I would suggest replacing that prayer with meditation, because meditation is correcting, where prayer, a lot of people want to ask, you know, beg for things, right? Lord, help me with such and such. It's like, instead of that, mindfulness, like, how can I become better? How can I become a better person? And it's not just becoming a better person on how you treat other people, it's how do I become a better person on how I treat me?
Yourself, yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So, you know, self-preservation is not a bad thing, where it starts with you, but it permeates to, you know, to everybody else. So that's what's missing from society. And, you know, even with all the bad foods that, and, you know, through the bad foods that are eating, it is dictating behavior. And the behavior, again, chemical. Everything we ingest upsets or can contribute to our chemical balance, which is ultimately our behavior. So yes, in a nutshell. I'm with you.
Just very quickly, we've got some new people that have joined us on YouTube. I've not been keeping an eye. We've got Lenny D. Ice. Hello, Lenny D. And we've also got Mixed Harmony. How are you? And Beverly Brown is saying, I've always been curious. Does taking sleeping pills interfere with you waking up to your alarm clock? I am coming to you, Wayne. Bear with me.
Absolutely. You know, you start taking, especially if those sleeping pills are not natural, they're not plant-based, right? If you have to induce something, that means that you are now overriding your natural production of that thing, right? So if you have to take something that your brain is supposed to be producing, your brain's going to say, well, I don't need to produce it anymore because you're getting it from out there. So I'm cutting that off. So you become, that's the very definition of addiction, right? Addiction is where your body is no longer producing that thing and you're getting it from outside. So you become dependent upon the outside source.
Okay.
So sleeping pills are an absolute no-no.
No. Okay.
Actually, the root cause is where you got to go, so that your body starts to produce those, you know, endo chemicals that you need to, you know, for any specific outcome or behavior that you're supposed to be exhibiting.
Okay. Wayne?
Well, my question was going back to diabetes.
Great.
Type 1 diabetes. What you're saying that's genetic. So basically, it's, you know, it runs in the family, as they say.
If you are born with it, if you are born with it.
If you are born with it. So what what triggers? Is it something that you will get eventually, or could you live your whole life and it's
okay? If you're born with diabetes, that means you have it when you're born. That you're not producing insulin, either very little of it or none, right? That's something you're born with, right? So there's a late onset diabetes, which is synonymous with type 2, but you can also develop type 1. Type 1 diabetes, because diabetes is basically high blood sugar. You have an issue with high blood sugar levels, right? Where your A1C is high. A1C is basically glucose in your blood that binds to your blood cells and causes issues, right? So A1C levels, there's different ranges. You know, you have normal range and you have high range. So normal range is like 4, 5, and then when you start going to 6, 7, that's when you start going into pre-diabetes or pre-diabetic stage. But when you, so imagine if you have insulin resistance, which is type 2, right? Where the insulin, you're producing insulin, but that insulin is not being allowed to deliver your glucose into into cells. The sugar or glucose remains in the blood, right? Then if you don't produce insulin, you have nothing to take to bind to the glucose to carry it into cells, right? So you end up with high blood sugar levels. High blood sugar levels will kill you or can kill you, right? If you don't get it out. And plus, you know, you'll get cellular or organ necrosis if it doesn't, organs do not get the nutrients or the glucose that they need. Your brain absolutely needs glucose for all functions, right? So there's a situation which is called hypoglycemia.
Mm-hmm.
Now, people who suffer from hypoglycemia are your nut jobs, right? And you know, I'm talking like a punter here, right? Your psychotic behavior. In order to control your bad-mindedness, right? You know, somebody says, you know what, Sam, we went to Elstone, right? Jackie, we went to Elstone. One of those things was your mum, right? Imagine somebody says your mum, so you're thinking, I want to stab your eyes out. To perish that thought, you actually need energy to restrain your anger. That's glucose. Glucose produces that energy. When you have a lack of that energy, guess what you cannot do? You cannot control your anger. So we actually did a Breakfast Club interview about mental illness and hypoglycemia, the link between the two, right? So in order for you to control your anger and your urges to do somebody something, right? You need glucose, you need energy. It takes a vast amount of energy. So even if you do have enough glucose, each time you're tried, you're burning more and more energy. So there's a point where, you know what? You've broken me. I've used up so much energy trying to restrain myself that I don't have that no more. I'm gonna do you something now. You see what I'm saying? So there's a lot, even when we practice mindfulness, you need the resources to actually practice mindfulness. And the resources are in those chemicals, right?
Okay.
So you can talk to a youth till you're blue in the face. If they don't have no glucose, they're hypoglycemic, right? And here's the thing. They did a study over here where they did a whole study on people who commit violent crimes, in jail for violent crimes, and diabetics. And they overlaid the two maps and they were identical. Identical. So where you have high levels of diabetes, you have a lot of anger issues because of hypoglycemia. Hypoglycemia is the biggest root cause of antisocial and violent behavior.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's also true of, I believe, hypothyroidism, but we won't go there right now because I'm looking on YouTube, and Ruth Bryan is saying, hi, late to the show. I have problems switching off, so find it hard to fall asleep. How does that affect me?
All right, again, so if you don't fall asleep and you do not, and it is a difference between actually falling asleep or going into deep sleep, REM sleep, right? So some people are light sleepers. You know, you try to come in and teeth their things and they just wake up. It's like, you can't teeth their things because they're light sleepers. Light sleepers tend to be a bit more irritable than deep sleepers, right? So if you do not get enough or get deep sleep, it does affect you in how your body is metabolizing, right? How your body is utilizing the nutrients that it has gotten and giving them, you know, getting them into cells. So it affects you physiologically, it affects you neurologically, it affects you psychologically. So a lot of people who have stress issues, it's because they're not getting enough nutrients.
Right.
Not getting enough nutrients. So
Okay.
stress is a chemical.
HRH Mel has got a question for you. We've been babbling on so much that HRH actually put it in the YouTube. So HRH, do you want to ask your question?
Sure, Doc. So I want to kind of scale back something a little bit. So can you please carefully, right? And I always say this carefully because people can get, you know, disjointed and bent out of shape. Can you explain the difference between prayer and meditation? I will say this as a former Christian and part of that culture. There's a lot of pushback on that, and I think there's a lot of mystery as to what meditation is. It's seen as, you know, evil and inappropriate. You know, if you're praying to the Lord, why on earth would I need to raise my palms and meditate? So if you could kind of break that down, I know the answer, but if you could share with the audience, that would be great.
All right, so let me tell you.
We are, by the way, we are beginning to run out of time, so I'm going to have to ask everyone to be just a little bit more concise.
All right, well, I mean, Her Royal Highness was on point. I love your question, right?
And it's a good
very
one.
Very important question there. So the act of prayer is the act of talking. And when you're talking, guess what you're not doing? You're not listening, right? Meditation is listening. So this is the thing. Meditation, you're listening to God. You're not talking at God, you're listening. You're getting instruction, right? So there's nowhere in any scripture where it says do not meditate. In fact, in scriptures, it will tell you remember God, right? Remember. And remembrance, you got to keep quiet to remember. So somebody asked you, how much money did you earn last year? You look up and you think about it. You're listening to yourself. And if God is dwelling in us, then we have to listen to our inner selves to hear God. And that's meditation.
Thank you.
Perfectly explained. What a brilliant synopsis. Okay, Mixed Harmony is saying, wow, why are we not told these things? And Beverly Brown is saying, that is very interesting. I had no idea there was a link between the two. Does it have something to do with diet? But Beverly Brown, I've got to say, I cannot remember what your question was. So we are also going to say here, we've literally got probably about another 5 minutes or so, and then we are coming to the end of the show, believe it or not. It goes by so quickly. Mixed Harmony on YouTube is saying, yes, I was told couldn't do yoga by a pastor. I've heard a lot of people saying that their faith doesn't allow them to do yoga. But as far as I know, yoga's a very good it's a very good way of stretching at the very least, is it not?
All right, so here's my issue of clergy, right? Nothing to do with me being a doctor or anything like that. Just my just my view. A lot of clergy are politicians. They're politicians. That's all they are. You got some clergy which are for the community. They're representatives, right? So they represent God and they represent the people, right? So any clergy that tells somebody, no, you can't meditate, you just have to question them, right? Where does it say that? Tell me where it says I should not meditate. And
If I can interrupt, Doc. So I just want to address, Sam, forgive me, I know we have like 1 minute. I just want to address the whole thing about yoga and meditation. So I was part of the faith for over 30 years. Technically, I'm an ordained Christian minister in the state of Connecticut. And this was an edict that we were told. And I think I really truly believe that it's based on old school thought. I don't think that most of these pastors who are saying no yoga and meditation actually know what they are. That's why I asked you to break down the difference between meditation and prayer. I think there's a lot of ignorance. And I think that me personally, meditation and yoga has absolutely changed my life. I was very, very ill. I had all these issues, and those things literally got me out of my bed after being in bed for 2.5 years. But I think that there's a lot of ignorance, to your point, with clergy, pastors and the like, that there's a fear about it because they feel it's demonic and it's something outside of God. And quite frankly, how can anything of healing be outside of God? But there's a lot of ignorance and a lot of misinformation. I was told very directly by my pastor that if I continue to do yoga, that I can no longer sit in the front pew with the rest of the ministers anymore. So I said, well, that's fine. I guess I'm going to sit wherever I'm sitting. So I just want to, sorry to interject, but I just wanted to add that about, I just think there's a lot of misinformation, people don't understand, and they think it's some behind the scenes demonic stuff that we shouldn't be doing, especially Black folks.
Please, Mel, don't be sorry at all, because I've got to say, I think that's a very good point that you've brought up and you've made. I do want to go to another question that's on YouTube, which is, will administering insulin to a diabetic type 1 from early teens eventually cause organ failure in the future, or does it depend solely on how much you administer, your HB level and your lifestyle / diet?
All right, again, we don't know the source of that insulin, and it's probably from a cow or a pig or something like that, or a horse. Who knows, right? Since synthetic insulin, you don't know where it's coming from. What's the source? Is it from cadavers? Cadavers? Is it from dead humans? Where is it coming from? So that's the first question. All right, if you are type 1, you need something to be delivering, on the other hand, you need something to be delivering the glucose into the cells. You see what I'm saying? So you're in a catch-22 position. So we actually, again, we have a supplement called pancreatin, which not only helps to deliver glucose into the cell, but actually repairs the pancreas, or I have to say that it helps your body.
Yeah, because we're not allowed to say anything else by law.
Right.
But can I just quickly ask?
To produce beta cells, which are in the pancreas, to produce insulin.
Dr. Amsu, can I just quickly ask, your pancreatin, is that what it's called? Let me just enlarge on your screen 1 second. Pancreatin. Okay. Can I just quickly ask you what sort of price range we are talking about for something like that?
Enough money, No, listen, here's what I tell people. What we do here, we do massive research, and our products work. I am allowed to say our products work. They work. In order for you to get to the root cause and reverse a condition, it helps your body to produce what it needs to reverse your condition. And we have a premium brand. Now, you are worth it. If you have an issue and you want that issue to be gone, you are worth it. So, it's a few dollars, but you are worth it. It's, having a lifestyle where you have to adjust your lifestyle for a handicap, that's not worth it. A few dollars for you to get better, and live a functional, normal life, that's where we want everybody to be. So it's not just take the supplement, it's also lifestyle, change your diet. Because if your diet put you into that situation, if you are type 1 from birth and it's degenerative issue, that's different. It's genetic. It's a genetic disorder, right? But even with a genetic disorder, there's ways in which
Dr. Amsu, I have to ask you, how much is the product? Because
want me to talk numbers?
Yes, it's in numbers.
How much is it? Yeah, Pancreagen, is it $79.99 or something like that? $79.99, or and in 2 ounce, we have 2 ounce and we have 4 ounce. I can't remember from the top of my head, but it's like $79.99 in dollars. So if you're in the UK, it will actually be around $50 or something like that.
£50. Okay. The I mean, that's not, I've got to say, that is not a lot of money to try to reverse something or to have a better quality of life. And that's even if you needed to get one every, I don't know, every month. I mean, how long does one last?
And
the 2 ounce one, let's say.
Here's the thing that I wanted to add, right? So with a dysfunctional pancreas, it begets a deficiency in chromium, right? Chromium is one of the elements, one of your minerals that your body absolutely needs. There's your pancreas, and there's your and then there's your eyes. That are the 2 organs that are very dependent on chromium. So your body will one day make the choice: which one do I need to live? And then your body's going to choose your pancreas over your eyes. So that's why you have where diabetics become blind, is because the lack of chromium. Your body says, we are going to basically choose, and what's more important here, right? Always going to be your pancreas, because your pancreas has to produce the insulin to get, which services all your organs. You can do without eyesight, but
Dr. Amsu, I'm going to have to interject, because believe it or not, on YouTube, they're coming in with the questions now, just as we want to end. But Claudette is saying, sorry, Chanel Brown has said, thank you very much for that information, doctor. And Claudette is saying, do you have any medication for asthma?
Yes, we have a supplement called Breathe, BREATHE. If you go to electricphood.com, you can go to electricphood.com/poison, right? And this is for everybody. And you check which condition you have, and then it will pull up which supplements you need.
Okay, brilliant. I do want to just quickly say to the panel, does anyone, I'm going to add an extra 5 minutes on because we have to. Does anyone else want to say anything else on the panel? Okay, Jacqueline, go.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank the doctor for all of this great information that he's provided. I mean, wow, my mind's blown. And to say to the panel, it's been great. I've really enjoyed it. All the really interesting comments and questions. It's been absolutely fantastic. Thanks very much.
Thank you so much.
And thank you, Sam.
On that note, no problem. On that note, I'm going to say goodbye to you. Stay in the attendees. Don't go anywhere. I will see you a little bit later on, okay? I'm just going to quickly speak with you now. Lindsay, my dear Lindsay, is there anything else that you would like to ask or say?
I did have a completely unrelated question I wanted to ask the doc.
So long as it's health, that's fine.
Well, it is kind of to do with health. It's completely unrelated to what we're talking about. But Doc, have you heard of any link between soya and estrogen?
Yes. Sorry.
Yes.
I'm not the doc.
Yeah. All right. So soy is highly estrogenic. right? Or estrogenic, as you say. I'm over here in the States, so I'm talking like them now, right?
Soya is highly estrogenic.
Highly, highly. And here's the thing, it's who's eating it though. So it depends on if the estrogenic effects are being up-regulated or down-regulated, which has to do with metabolism, has to do with one or two processes, right? Either there's hydroxylation or methylation that's taking place during metabolism. If there's hydroxylation, then the estrogenic effects are exacerbated, upregulated. If there's methylation, then it downregulates and actually finds useful forms, usefulness of that estrogen. So
the only reason I ask is because, I kind of switched from cow's milk to soya milk.
Right.
Oh, you can have anything like almond milk or coconut milk or...
No, I don't like almond milk or coconut milk because it's too strong a taste.
Rice milk?
No, I don't like rice milk. It affects the taste of my coffee. So that's why I have soya milk. And kind of people have been taking the mick out of me and saying, Lindsay, you are now going to turn into a woman.
But guys, listen, we can't even continue, to be honest, because the question's been answered. So we're going to move on. We're going to say bye-bye to Lindsay.
Let me just quickly say this.
Yes?
Men that drink a lot of soy milk, right, get gynecomastia, which is man boobs.
Right.
And also go into andropause. So that's not
right. Okay. Thank you very much, Lindsay. I'll see you after. Right, so we have got the lovely couple. We have got the lovely Sharon and the lovely Wayne with their beautiful smiles. Is there anything else that you would like to say, ask? You need to unmute, yeah.
Sorry, guys. Just, reiterating how brilliant it's been. It's very insightful, great information, which I think we should all kind of reflect on and take away. For me, the points about the holistic side of things and how it's not just one thing. It's really about people being really aware of how they're living their lives and applying all elements of it. So, thanks very much, Doctor. Really, really insightful.
And for me, what I found interesting is the way that you correlate cause and effect. So, for example, the diabetes thing. I knew people go blind. I didn't know why.
Yeah.
Now that I know why, it's much more aware in my it will be ongoing. I need to take care of this. So the teaching is what I'm very happy with. Thank you.
Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you, lovely, lovely couple. I'll see you in a moment. Okay, so Dr. Amsu, to be honest, most illnesses are usually because there's a deficiency in some kind of nutrition, something somewhere, isn't there? Something usually to do with that. Info Reclamation is saying thank you. Diet is key, especially for type 2. And on that note, I'm just going to quickly say to you, Dr. Amsu, once again, you have been a book of information. And I think I'm going to have a nickname for you now. B-O-I.
Call me boy.
B-O-I. No. Book of information. I didn't even think to say that's what it was. But hey, no, it's a pleasure to have you with us, honestly. And we're looking forward to next week. Info Reclamation is saying, can we have a part 2? Info Reclamation, this is part 2. Next week we'll be having part 3. Okay. Lenny D. Ice is saying knowledge, doctor. And Jordan Bailey is saying, thanks so very much, informative tonight. Please don't forget, everyone, that we will be having the electric docs on a show. In fact, Dr. Amsu, do you want to talk about the spin-off show for a minute before we speak with HRH Mel as well?
I mean, what we're going to be doing, we're going to introduce a program in the UK, because we've been concentrating over here with you know, as you know, like Lindsay Wesker pointed out earlier, about, you know, the disparity and how things like type 2 diabetes affects Black people. So as you know, United States is where a whole bunch, a wallop of Black people are out here. We've been concentrating, and we've kind of neglected the UK and Europe. So we will be starting a program with Sam and her team to, you know, get people onto actual nutrient therapy programs that will, you know, help
them.
The community out there.
And this one it's going to be one that everyone will need to subscribe to. It's not going to be open like this show, so it's one that will need a subscription.
And give Mel my details, so that because I see you, Mel, you look like an activist, and we need activists. We need people who grab the baton and run with it. And
God, that Mel is that. She definitely is exactly that, and that's a good way to bring you back in, HRH.
Well, I just want to thank you, Doc. I think that, you know, the scripture says that we perish because of lack of knowledge, and there are so many things that we should be doing, could be doing. You know, here in America, you know, if you don't have health insurance, you know, you could die. And you know, to be able to have supplements and lifestyle changes that can actually contribute to your health versus running to the doctor and getting a prescription that has multiple side effects and doesn't, you know, you take one thing to beget another thing, and you know, it's very, very helpful. So thank you, and Martin as well, for all that you guys do for us here in the States. We really appreciate that. And we really need to get our people well and whole. And to your point, it has so much to do with why, as a people, we are not doing well, because we're literally not well.
Right.
So thank you for that.
Thank you.
You know, Alfred Appiah is saying, you haven't changed a bit, Dr. Amsu. It's like an Elstone reunion on here. Love the show. It's funny because let's just be honest. Let's just be honest. The majority of us on here, we all went to Elstone, you know, top school. What can I say?
All right.
Don't worry about anything, John Kelly and all the rest of you.
I knew you from somewhere. That's it. The pennies dropped.
That's right. We're all from Elstone here. Lenny D. Ice is saying, teach one, reach one. Oh, I like that. And on that note, Dr. Amsu, I'm going to say a good night to you. I'll see you in a minute, though. Okay? Don't go anywhere. Thank you very much for joining us. We'll see you next week. Well, HRH Mel, that's another show.
We did good.
It's another wrap. I think that was quite informative.
That was very, very good.
Yeah, and it was such a pleasure to have you on. You are so eloquent, and you make some really good, valid points. You know, I love having you on the show when you're here. And
well, when you're a know-it-all, it doesn't, you know. And I have to say, these things are really important. As I'm sitting here, literally as I'm sitting here, for the last 3 weeks, I've been in excruciating pain. I actually went to the doctor today, and I got laid off, so I don't have medical insurance. So I literally had to walk into I don't know what you guys call them at home, but it's a walk-in clinic. I walked in today, had to give them $130 of my own money because I don't have health insurance, doesn't cover it. And in order to tell me, we don't know, go to the ER, right? And of course, we're in the middle of COVID-19. So unless I'm literally cannot breathe, I have no intention of going to, you know, the emergency room. So it's an issue. It's a thing. And during the pandemic, when so many people are not working, We need to find solutions. I had my own naturopath that I dealt with after the cancer and the brain stuff, whatever, and I've fallen off, and I do not feel well. And I actually hit Dr. Ansu up privately and asked him to hit me up later, because we need to be able to have these outlets that we can reach our people to get us back on track. And there's so many things, like even the soy thing. That's, you know, my extensive trauma and trouble with health is why I know so much about it. So he's just brilliant, and I'm really grateful. I'm grateful.
Brilliant. You know, HRH, I really do hope that your health gets back on track, because I know you know your body so well that you know when something's off. So I hope that you do get back on track, and I will be checking on you. Don't you worry about that.
Yeah, I'm sure it's not. I'm sure it's not. You know, I have 2 autoimmune diseases that are running in the background. So what happens is you're never sure if it's one of them acting up or if it's something new. It's just part of the plight of, you know, and, you know, as with autoimmune diseases, you look great and you look fine, but you're usually suffering in one way or another. So I'm going to talk to the doc about that and see if we can get back on track, because I feel like crap, to be honest.
Okay, we can't have that. Not HRH, all right? So on that note, we're going to say a good night. Good night, everyone. We'll see you again next week for part 3 of our health series on the Pick a Topic with Sam and Guest show. And good night to you, Mel. I'll see you in a bit anyway. And I am going to now enter out with the ads. So it's a good night from me. Take care. See you next week. Some brilliant guests tonight.
The reason why we are on lockdown has nothing to do with the fact of building our immune system.
Try something else for a bit, then stop. So they've been using us all as guinea pigs.
What I will do differently now is that I won't feel like I haven't got a voice because I'm not Black.
Everybody's going to be dead at the same time.
I have never spoken about Black on Black because it's a nonsense, because most crimes are committed by non-Blacks.
Let that child go to school and come back with anything and see me.
Time to make history. Stand up.
My name is Beverly Skeet, and guess what? I've been making good use of the lockdown time. I've made an album, it's called Liberty, and this is the first single from it, Can't Do Right for Doing Wrong. It's been a long time coming, and I've been looking forward to it, and I hope you are too. It'll be released on the 31st of August. I hope you like it. Take care. Bye. Be safe.